Well, welcome back to Fantasy of Flight and the standard J-1 project. My name is Ken Kellett. I know we haven't done an update here in a couple months, and so we're going to get on with that here and show you what we've been doing. Okay, well, when we started this project, of course, the fuselage was in pretty bad shape, and we put it up on the table here and built a fixture to hold all the pieces in place so that we could reference it. So when we went to put this thing back together again, we'd have a starting point to put it together. So far, we've virtually built a new fuselage at this point. Where we're at, all the wood's in it is new, all the fittings have been cleaned up, all the hardware's new. And the latest thing that we needed to tackle, which I hadn't, the last video we had was putting all these wires in. Now, when it came apart, of course, I tagged everything, and I tag everything with a metal tag so that I know where that wire goes. And the wire's dimensions are obviously critical to get the airplane back rigged right so that it's straight, and it's the way it was. We did away with all the wires, all the original wires. You're probably wondering, well, why didn't you just keep them? Well, they weren't done originally the way they're supposed to be done. And you'll see right here, they used what we call a NitroPress sleeve on the wires, and Kermit wanted it back the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to look. This is a ferrule here. And so you can see the difference here. So we wanted to correct all that. And the number of wires, I counted them, there's 108 wires in this airplane. It doesn't look like it, but we've been working on this for quite a while. I know some of the comments I've read, we hear some once in a while about, how long it takes to do some of this stuff, and kind of like to throw a little tidbit in for all you watchers out there is that Kermit's got 180 airplanes or something like that, and so needless to say, we have some other projects that we work on occasionally. That's a lot of airplanes to take care of, so we're not necessarily on our projects 5 days a week. So that's one of the reasons why it kind of takes so long to get a project done. There's no hurry on these projects. Kermit wants them one way, and that's absolutely correct, and that's kind of the way we want them to. So if that answers that question for you. All right, so as I said, the wires have all come in. We're kind of in the final stages of just rigging the fuselage. I'll run around with a level and measurements and make sure that the whole thing is square. The latest thing I've done is I put the landing gear on the airplane, and this is for real. We won't be taking it back off again. And I'm in the process right now of working on the axle up here. The axle has a number of things that get attached to it, so it gets a number of holes drilled, and so it's kind of cut to fit and paint to match. So I do have a drawing that shows certain things. And of course we had to have certain parts made, and this is kind of one of them. This is the cap that holds the wheel on. And of course there's another one of these inside here that keeps the wheel from rubbing into something that it shouldn't be rubbing in. So this thing here, this part gets drilled and bolted, and all the geometry of that has to be absolute, so that axle is going to go out to a machine shop because ours is kind of down at the moment, so that we can get all these holes drilled on the same plane so that when it goes together, it's all straight and correct. I also just dug up a set of wheels. The wheels on this airplane are supposed to be 26 by 4s. When we had the airplane flying, it had Model A wheels on it. Model A Ford wheels. Those were on there because they had brakes. And when they were filming the movie Waldo Pepper, the insurance company, I understand, required that the airplane have brakes. And so that's why they used Model A rims on the airplane. But we're not doing that. We're putting it back to the original wheels that don't have any brakes. And I've gone through our stores here and came up with the exact set of wheels. They've got some spokes that are missing, and so these wheels are going to get sent out here shortly to get respoked. We're going to replace one of the rims on the airplane. Again, we're going to replace it with a better condition rim than what's on the wheel. Fortunately for us, we can still get tires for these wheels. They're clincher tires, which are kind of odd. I don't know if you kind of understand what that is, but the tires actually have kind of a rim that snaps into these folds of the wheel, if you see how the wheel goes. So they're kind of unusual, not something normally you'd find, but there is a company out there that makes aircraft wheels of this size, and so we have a set of those coming, and so we'll be able to put the correct size wheels on the airplane. We've been working on the instrument panel as well. One of the fun things about this particular project is that the original instrument panel that was in the airplane, all the instruments were like World War II stuff, what I would call modern instruments. There were no real 1917 instruments in the airplane. There's a clock that goes in the instrument panel, and I turned on my computer and I said, let's just look on eBay. And so going into eBay and threw it in there, and up pops exactly the clock that goes in this instrument panel. So we were able to buy that, and when it came, it's perfect, it runs and everything. I don't know if you can read that or not, but you'll see it was made in February of 1918. We started with that, and then I hunted down all the rest of the instruments on eBay. So we have a complete panel now that has all the original old style 1918 instruments in it. So of course this is the panel, and that instrument is just going to drop in there like that. And so, then we needed a mag switch. Found this on eBay. Came from Guam. Who had that in his trunk, in Guam? Again, the original instrument for this particular airplane, brand new old stock. And that's going to go in that hole. So some of the stuff we've sent out and we've had redone. One of the things is the compass, which is pretty huge and heavy. And that compass is going to mount right there, like that. This has been stained. I'm going to varnish it and get some brass screws, put all the instruments in the panel, and the panel will be done. We'll put it upstairs for the time being, and as soon as the airplane gets turned over off of the bench over here, this is going to be ready to install. So like I said, I'm trying to work again in segments, when I can get something done, and so it's ready to go. It'll take 5 minutes to stick it on the fuselage and put two screws in it, and that'll be done. So a lot of this airplane's been done kind of like that, and that really seems to work. We get held up in different areas and we just jump around a little bit. It doesn't matter, it's all got to get done, and at the end, as long as it all comes together, it doesn't matter. So that's just to give you a little idea of how the instrument panel is coming about. Paul came over the other day from digging around across the street in one of our warehouses with a whole box of J-1 parts that came off of this airplane at some point somewhere, and inside was the air pump. And it's exactly according to the drawings. Why it wasn't in the airplane, I'm not sure, but it wasn't. So I'm in the process now. I've made up brackets to fit this pump into the fuselage. So again, that's kind of neat that we were able to find the original part. Sometimes I'm not sure we know exactly how much stuff we really do have around here. But anyway, that's going to be going in very soon. Shall we take another look maybe at the tail assembly? We'll show you kind of a before and after of some of the parts that we've made and give you an idea of how it's going to look in the end. Okay, well, let's show you some of the things we've done on this airplane that are hopefully a little bit better. This is the new tail skid, and this is what came off of the airplane. There, like that. So that's a little crude, I guess. Obviously, for the movie Waldo Pepper, they landed this on an asphalt runway, so I guess they needed some extra grinding going on here. So that's been, remade. Some of the other fittings, and of course, in the last video I mentioned that we're waiting on some laser parts, and we're still waiting. So some of the fittings that really aren't too nice that go on here that support some of the members in here, we just don't have the pieces yet to finish them and put them on. One of the other things, I've gotten cable now. We're just getting ready. This is a drawing here. And basically what you've got here is we've got cables that have to be wrapped and soldered. And they go on here from here to here. And it's like a safety cable. This will have bungee cords on it, of course, to absorb some of the impact when you're landing the airplane. But in the event that those bungee cords should be rotten and break, and that does happen, that cable's going to save you from maybe tearing the rudder off the airplane. So that's what that is. There's a cable that goes in here, and there's actually cables that go from here to, again, fittings that go like that here, and that prevents it from going beyond a certain point. There'll be a cable that goes from here to here and from here down to another one on that side. It kind of limits the movement of the tail skid on the airplane, so during landing, if this was sitting in the wrong direction and you landed, you'd probably tear it off. So that's what all those things are for. All right, so let's move up forward here. Okay, as I mentioned in the last video, we're waiting on those laser parts, and those are the pieces that finish out the attachment of the seats, both front and rear, and so we still haven't got those. So that's obviously holding things up a little bit. I need to finish up these last few fittings so that I can get these seats final, both front and rear, and get ready to put the belly in. As a matter of fact, yesterday I cut the fabric for the belly. As soon as we get all these things safety wired, we're going to put the belly in. That belly runs from here to the tail, and we're going to put that fabric on with the airplane upside down because it'll be much easier for us to deal with it. We'll go ahead and dope it. We probably won't paint it, but we'll get it pulled up tight, and we'll have the fabric on. So when it comes off the table here, the belly will be in the airplane. The last two pieces of fabric, of course, will be this side, the left side, and the right side. And that's the last of the fabric work. It'll go in for paint, and then we'll turn to the sheet metal. And of course, that sheet metal, as I mentioned in the last video, we can't really do the engine sheet metal until we get our new radiator installed, and that may be a while before we actually see that. So we won't be able to finish that sheet metal, but I will be finishing the cockpit area sheet metal, and that'll get painted. So we're getting pretty close. I'm anxious to see it off the table and moved into the restoration shop. I kind of want to, we've got the lower wings now painted, so I can actually hang the lower wings on the airplane put the center section on, put the tail feathers on, all the things I need to do to run cables for the controls to see where those exit points are through the fabric, so that I can put leather patches in there for the exit points for the cable. And so we are moving along. So stay tuned, check on us, and hopefully we're going to have an airplane put together by summer maybe. Okay.